I'm Patrick Bailey with IQlist.com. Today is April 4th, 2018, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how I made the manipulative place value stackable number tiles in Fusion 360, which happens right now to be up on Thingiverse as thing 2847182. Now if you're new to 3D printing, and especially to 3D printing design, which I am, I just barely started out with all this, I would highly recommend Fusion 360. There are a lot of reasons why. It's an industry standard. There's a lot of really cool things. It's used in industry. It's a big, nice tool. And with all that, it's free. There's certain licenses you can use it for free. In fact, there's a license you can use it for a small company, up as a startup company, up to the fact if your company's making $100,000 a year, you can still use it for free. And with that in mind, I've put a video out there before showing you how to download and register Fusion 360 if you need some help with that. Now, because I'm so new to Fusion 360, I may show you some things that aren't quite the best practices because I'm still learning. So with that in mind, if you really want to learn Fusion 360, I would highly recommend following and watching Lars Christensen. And here's his YouTube channel. And I would highly recommend, if you're starting out, and this is what I did, he's got 3 really great absolute beginner videos. And so here is the first one, and it's a Fusion 360 tutorial for absolute beginners, part 1. And so I went through all 3 of those. I have my kids going through all 3 of those. We homeschool our children. And it's going really well. I learned a lot. So I would highly recommend watching him, subscribing to him, and watching those videos to learn more about Fusion 360. It really opened my eyes and I learned a lot. Okay, now on to manipulatives. So what is this and why am I doing this? What are we trying to do? We homeschool our kids. And I recently did a video with my wife putting out a request there for a manipulative. And okay, what's a manipulative? A manipulative is something you can touch and some kind of educational tool to help you figure out a higher concept, especially in mathematics or anything else, really. And so what I think 3D printing is huge, and it will be huge for homeschooling and for schooling in general. So we have some needs to 3D print some stuff out for our homeschool kids to help them understand concepts. And I was hoping to put a challenge out to other people to do the same. So it's the start of it, and I hope it gets bigger, that my wife can challenge me and say, hey, I need something that does this. Can you make it? And I want to challenge other people to try to make the same thing, or not the same thing, but to make something that would solve that problem. And then highlight it and show everyone so that a bunch of kids out there can have access to some really cool manipulatives that can really help enhance their education. So with that, this is the first thing that we put a challenge out. My wife put a challenge out to me, was to make something to learn and figure out your places, your ones places, your tens places, and your hundreds places. And so this is what we came up with. And I put it out on Thingiverse. And so I just want to walk through showing people how I made it in Fusion 360 to maybe get some idea and how you can design stuff in 360, even at a beginner level, because I'm at a beginner level. I've only done a few things, and I want to show you how I made it, and maybe you can get some ideas. I just want to share. Okay, with that, let's get going. Okay, let me try to recreate what I created before here in Fusion 360. So let me get started here. So here's my model from before. So I will try to show you how I made it. So here I've got let me start new. Don't say. So let me go up here and say new design. And then from here I will click right here and say new component. And I will call this single tile, or just tiles, because it could be multiple tiles the way I'm doing it. So tile. Okay, so from there, I can open that up and click on that little light bulb so I can see these origin planes that I'm going to use here in a minute. And now before I get started too far, if you look over here on the upper right hand side, you'll see that my z-axis is up, which is not the default setting. But it's very useful if you're printing, because on 3D printing, the z-axis is up. Otherwise, if you try to create the 3D print from here, make the STL file will be 90 degrees wrong. And you probably don't want that. So if you want to change it, you can go up here, go to your name, go to Preferences, and you'll see this default modeling orientation. And you want to set it to Z up. And then after you do that, you'd hit Apply and OK. Now the last time I did it, even though it made the change, it didn't apply it to exactly what I was working on that moment. So I actually had to go restart Fusion 360. So you may need to restart Fusion 360 Or if someone knows a button you can just push and refresh, that'd be nice to know too. Okay, so let's get started. So what I want to do is, this thing is going to be 10 millimeters, this little tile is 10 millimeters tall, and it's 70 by 70. So what I want to do is I want to create a rectangle that's 10 millimeters high by 70, and then extrude it 70 millimeters. In fact, I actually want to extrude it 35 millimeters halfway, because then I'm going to actually mirror that object. And there's some reasons I'm doing that, because I'm trying to follow good parametric programming at the level I know. Someone like Lars Christensen definitely knows what he's doing. I'm following him, trying to figure out how to do good parametric design. And so that is part of it. So let me right click on this face, this plane, and hit create sketch. And so I want to create a rectangle here. So what I can do is I can come up here and I can find the rectangle tool. But an easier, better way to do it is I can press S, and this little sketch toolbox pops up. In this little area, I can put the common tools I want to use, or down here I can just search for it. So if I search for rectangle, I'll see there's 3 tools. Now 2 of those tools I already have in my sketch toolbox. This third one I don't really need it either. But if I wanted to use it, I could just click on it. If I wanted to add it to my sketch toolbox, I could click on this little curly arrow and it would get added, like it just did right there. But I don't want it added, so I can click on that, drag it off. You see the little trash can, and let go. Now it's gone. I actually want to use this rectangle tool, which happens to be here, just a 2-point rectangle. So I'll click on there, and then I want to tie this down to the origin. You see this little dot down here is the origin. So I'm going to tie it down there. So I'll click there and go out. And you can see I kind of snap to grid here. So I can actually, go down to 70 and go down to 10 and call it good. But a quicker, more precise way to do it is just kind of be arbitrary like this. And then I can actually, the box that's highlighted, I can start typing. So I can come in here and type 10 for 10 millimeters. Hit tab, which goes to the other one, and then type in 70 and hit enter, and now I get the exact rectangle with the exact dimensions I want. You can also see that it's actually, all the lines on it are black, which means it's tied down, it's constrained. There might be a better word for that. I think constrained is the correct word to use. But let me just show you the difference between something that's constrained and tied down and something that's not. So if I draw another one where I don't start at the origin, but I just do it right here and hit enter, you'll see all the lines are blue. And if they're blue, they're not tied down. Now you can draw something blue and then tie it down later, which is what I'm going to do here in a few minutes. But if you see blue, you want to tie it down for good parametric parametric design, right? Okay, so let me undo that, Control Z. Okay, so now I want to do my first extrude, where I want to extrude this out 35 millimeters, which is halfway. So I can come down here and click on this, and I've clicked on this little plane, I guess you'd call it. This what's the right word? Plane? I'll learn the right word here. And I'll press Q. And Q will bring up my press pull tool. And I guess, maybe profile is the right word. And so I've selected that profile, and I'll go up here and click my home button so I get a more interesting orientation here. And now I can drag it. And so I could drag it to 35, or I could type in 35. Boop. And it's going to be a new body, and so I hit OK. And that is exactly what I want. So there is my first extrude. My first extrude is done. So I've made half my tile. Okay, now on to getting these little grooves in here. So getting this little area removed and this little area added so they can rest on top of each other. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to draw on this plane right here on this box that we just extruded. So I'll right click on here and say create sketch. Now I'm looking at that side. And then what I want to do is I want to create some construction lines that are not going to be part of my drawing, but that I can use to connect the other lines that I'm going to do. So I'm going to start drawing lines. So I can press S and choose my line tool, but also you'll see here under that line tool it says line L. There's a quick key. Just press L. And you use lines so much, you might as well learn to press L, right? So I'll press L, and I'll just click to a grid here. I'm going to make this first line a little arbitrary. And I'll make it straight though, 90 degrees, and click here, And now I'm still stuck drawing, but I'll hit escape. And there's my line. Now I want to make this line a construction line rather than just a regular line. So I'll click on here and click construction. And now you can see the dash, dash, dash. It's a construction line, so it can be used and connected to other lines, but in a way it doesn't count. But you can see it's blue. So I want to tie it in. So to tie it in, I need to, well, let me zoom in here a little bit and fix something. I want this to be, I just moved that there so it's on line just to make, for convenience sake. It's still blue. So let me press the D button, and now I have this dimension tool comes up. You see my icon changed, my mouse pointer changed. So I can click on the origin, and then click on this end point here, and this comes up. And so I can click on that and type in 35, hit enter, and so now that's tied in. Now it's black, and so now this line is at 35. And now I need to make some more construction lines that are parallel to this one. I need to make two that are 1.5 millimeters out on either side, and then two more that are 3 more millimeters out as guidelines. So I'll create 2 lines on each side right now just to get them there. So I'll put one there, hit escape, put one there, hit escape, put one there, hit escape, and last one, hit escape. And then now I can probably choose all of them and make them, no, you're not going to work for me. And let me see. Shift, there we go, shift, select, that'll work. And then make them all construction lines. All right. So now I need to get their dimensions correct. And so this line's tied down, so I can tie these lines down to that line, and then we'll have them all tied down in black. So I'll hit D, click that, and click that. And I want that to be 1.5, and then click the, well, I'm still in the D dimension mode. Click that, type in 1.5, and now those two are tied in. And then I click the D button, and I can click on there, and enter 3, and now that one's tied in. Do the same thing over here. So now I've got all my vertical lines tied in. And now I need to make two horizontal lines. Both of those lines I'm going to do horizontally one should be 3 millimeters above the top, and the other one is going to be 3 millimeters above the bottom. So again, I will come down here, and I'll draw a line. I'll select this line and come out straight, and hit escape. And then I'll come over here and draw another line, come out straight, and hit escape. And I guess I'll make them equal to each other right there. Okay, and now those lines aren't tied down either, so I'll hit dimension. This one, though, is actually constrained. I'm still learning all this. But you see this little circle here? I think this means it's, I believe this line is constrained to some degree attached to this line. But it's still not fully constrained, so I'll press this button, I'll use the D, hit that, and you're not working with me. What are you doing there? Let me escape. Let me try that again. That line, and that one. Okay, something's not liking me there. Let me hit escape. Okay, D, press the origin, and that line, and come out. There we go. Oh, I happen to draw it right at 3 millimeters, so cool. And so now that one's constrained, it's black. And I'll do the same thing up here. I'll click right there, go up there, and come out in 3 millimeters. So I luckily drew them correctly. Okay, so now they're both tied down. So perfect, I got these guidelines here that can help me draw. So now I'll come in here and press the L key. And now you can see I'm in construction mode, so I'll uncheck that because I just want to draw regular lines. Then I'll start here, click there, click there, click there again, and then where they intersect, there, there, and there. And now I should have a face that I can choose there. Let me go down and draw, let me escape, get out of that. Now let me go down and draw the other one down here. Press L, click, click there, Click again. And there we go. I don't think I have to draw the bottom line because there already is one. I'm guessing. Let me hit escape. Yeah, I can. I don't have to. So you can see I can choose that. I'm not exactly sure what these are called. Faces but this, I can choose this little area because I want to extrude this. So now the next thing I want to do, because I want to extrude it, is to to push the Q button. The Q button will bring up this press pull tool. And then so I can see it better, I'll click home, which will give me that different orientation. And I'll select that top one, because I only want to do one at a time, because they are different. Wait, no, let me choose the bottom one first. Because, let me explain. So I'll press Q again, and select the bottom one. And if I pull it in, you can see it turns red, which means it's subtracting. That's the default. And in my case, I want it to be -5 millimeters. And you can see it's going in, and it's doing a cut, and hit OK. So, exactly what I wanted. Now, after I did that, to help me out, in a sense, I guess the tool decided to hide my sketch. But I want to see that sketch so I can extrude the other tool, the other little knob up there. So I can go over here and click on Sketches, and hit the little light bulb there, and there's my sketch again so I can see it. So I'll click on this area, well, I'll press the Q tool again, and then select that, and now I want to do that. Now what I originally did is I put them both the same, thinking that it was just to test it out, because I wanted them to rest on each other, and I thought that if I made them exactly the same, that actually I thought they wouldn't rest completely. I thought the top would be too big because they were the same size. I thought I was going to have to make the bottom one a little bigger so that it could just rest on top of it. Well, it turns out when I did them both the same, they actually could click on each other. I guess because if you're on the top, you're kind of pushing the other ones out just a little bit, and it kind of clicked. So I left it at 5 millimeters, but then I printed some other ones out, and they didn't quite click quite as crispy. So I decided to actually make the top one a little bit bigger. So I made it 5.15 millimeters, which is technically bigger than the smaller one, but it actually kind of works for clicking, and so far it's worked pretty well. So I hit OK, and so let me hide my sketch there, and so you can see, there I go. There I've got the bottom cut out like I wanted, and the top. So it worked really well. Okay, now that I've got half my shape, I want to mirror this shape on the other side. So what I will do is I can press the S key again and search for mirror. And there's a mirror tool. So I can click on that. And it says, select a body. So I'll select this body. And then I want to click on here to select a plane. And I want to select the plane that I can't quite see right now. So I'll maneuver this guy. I want to select this plane, which happens to be part of the object. And I want to mirror it on the other side. And after I do that, you can see I get this little shadow of what will occur when the mirror tool is done. That's exactly what I want, so I hit OK. And boom, I've got my mirror. Now the next thing I want to do is combine these two into one object. So I can do S key again and search for combine. And there's a combine tool. Select that, and then select bodies. Select that one and hit join, and hit OK. And so now they're one body. And so now that you see that, and they've been parametrically designed, I can actually go back in my history, and over here you can actually see, here's my history. I can actually drag this and go back in history. So that's before I mirrored, that's before I did my 2 extrusions, there's my old sketch, and I can kind of go back through my history, every little thing I did. Also, I can right click on this and change some aspects. So I can go back in here and let's do something simple. Let's say that the extrusion on the top. So I can right click on that and say edit this feature. So I actually extruded it 5.15. Let's say I'm wrong. I want to extrude it 10. So I'll do -10, which you can see extrudes it there. But also, since this body was combined and then mirrored and then combined again, that procedure will actually follow through. It'll accept that what I did, that 10 millimeters, and it'll actually end up on the other side. So I hit OK and go back to my history, and look, I didn't have to go re-mirror or redo one of those things. It actually took that history and reapplied everything, which is a really, really good feature. So I'll hit Control Z. We'll probably undo that. Okay, good. because I didn't want to do that. But I just want to show that it's really, there's a reason why you do all that, because you can go back, because that's exactly what I did. I went back there and I had 5 millimeters, and then I was able to change it in one place. So with, let's see. So with this guy, you can see I have a bunch. And so I only had to change one little piece of one little timeline in history, and it actually changed all 6 of those little knobs, which is really cool and very useful. Okay, so we have that. We combine them. And so what I'll do, I'll make this more than a single one. I'm going to make this, we'll make it 4. Why not? We'll make 4 of these. 4 of these tiles that are going to be, it's a tile with 4 numbers. And there may be a better way to do this, but we'll do what I did. So I'll right click up here and I will create a sketch. And what I want to do now is I want to create a guideline that I'm going to use to multiply these tiles over. So I'll hit the L key and I will make a line right here. I'll make it really long. Boom. And hit escape and I select that and I'll make it a construction line. And this line needs to be in the middle, so 35 millimeters up. So I'll zoom in, not that I have to zoom in, and press the D button, and I will select that, and try again, and there we go, 35 millimeters. And now it's black, so perfect. That's exactly what I want. And I can come up here and see that I have this little line in space going down there. Cool. So now that that's done, what I can do is I can do I think they call it a path pattern. Let me try to find it. So if I do an S, let me do S and path, pattern on path. There we go. Pattern on path. So I'm going to, pattern type is going to be bodies, I think. And so I will select my object. So I want to replicate this object in a certain way along this path that I just created, this little dotted line. So then I'll select a path, I'll select that line, and then I can do stuff like this and just do that. But I know how precise I want it, so I can come back here and say, you know what? I want 4 of them because I'm going to do 1,000 in this example. And the distance of each one I know should be 70 millimeters, I think. Or I might have to double that. 140. Okay, why are you... Oh, the distance of the whole thing. Oh, so I guess you have a couple of choices here. You could do 280... Wait, no. Because technically it's 3, so 210? You could do 210 and do the math. Or what I did is you can change what you're doing. So that's extent. I think I did spacing. There you go. Spacing. Because I know they're going to be 70 millimeters apart. So I chose spacing in one direction. And then I hit OK. Ta-da! And there they all are. And now I can go back and do the combine tool because I want to combine these all into one object. Combine, hit enter, and select, and join, hit O, and hit OK. And there we go. So now we've got what we want. And so now I could go back as an example again into my parametric design, and I could say, you know what, I was wrong about that feature again. I want it to do, -20. And hit OK, and you see how it applied now 8 times really conveniently. It's just really nice. Or I could even go further back into that sketch I made, because we're extruding that face. I think that should work. I come back here and say, you know what, that was 3 millimeters. Let's make it 15. Which is going to, well, I guess I didn't tie things down quite perfectly. That should be tied down there. Maybe I got some things to learn, obviously, right? Okay. And I hit stop sketch, and I hit that, and look, it got applied everywhere. So it's really cool. Let me undo that. That's not what I wanted. Undo that. Back to normal. Okay. Stop sketch. Okay. Back to normal. Okay. So that's all one object. Cool. Okay, now the numbers. Now I kind of played it safe when I put the numbers, so I actually ended up putting 4 different numbers on there. I might have been able to do it on the first one and then extruded it, but my thinking right now is, I should say, replicate on that pattern path. But I think if I did that, I would end up replicating the same number. I might be wrong about that, but just to play it safe, I've learned enough as a beginner already. Let's just, take one step at a time. I just decided to make 4 numbers. So what I did is I right-clicked on that top and said, create a sketch. All right, create a sketch. And I could zoom in here, and what I did is click S, and there is a font tool. So I clicked on that, and I think I just clicked on somewhere, and then I typed in a number. So I'll type in 9, and it shows up, but it actually shows up backwards to what I want, so I had to do a 180. And then I forgot what font I chose. Was it Impact? ISO Couture. I think that's the one I chose. But I want to make it bigger, so let me make it. Oh, no, not there. Height 100. Too big. 90. Let me go look back. What did I do? Which one did I choose? So I go back and say, oh, there's my number sketch. Number sketch. Go back in this old history. Maybe I did replicate that. Oh, that's a... Let me view that sketch. What did I do? Nope, not that one. Stop sketch. It's fun trying to remember what you did, huh? Okay, I think it was there. Yes, there we go. Let me edit the sketch and look at one of these guys. Okay, where are you? Let me go figure that out. Okay, I was looking at the wrong thing. So it is Impact. It happens to be 62 millimeters high, and it flipped 180 degrees. Let me see if I can replicate that. So let's click on that. It was Impact, 62 millimeters. And there we go. So I just kind of place these, and I hit OK. And I get that. I hit OK, and then I just, in this case, I just kind of copied and pasted. So I did a Control-C, Control-V, and then moved it. And kind of got it in roughly the right spot. And hit OK. And then copy-paste again. Oh, select, copy-paste. Now, there may have been a better way to do this, but it's what I did. Hit OK. Copy paste and move this guy over again and hit OK. And now what I want to do is make sure they line up correctly. So I'm going to do a D and then select right there and come over here and change it a little bit. So it's 9.45. It looks like it's fairly in the right spot, but let me lower it just to 9. Good. And then do the same thing over here with this dimension because I want to tie it down. It's 50, so 50.5. I'll just make it 50. Close enough. And then I know everything else should be, 70 more than that. So if I do dimension here to here, that should be 70. See, this feels very unparametric. So, but it's it's still okay, right? Okay, so those are all tied in, but they're not all at the same level. So I want those all to be 9, so I'll do, come out here and do 9 again. Do the same thing over here. 9 again, and I guess I can go here. And 9 again. Okay, so there is all those guys. So I can hit stop sketch, and there's all my numbers, but they're not yet extruded. So flip up here. Oh, let me go change it because having them all the same seems a little silly. Let me go back and edit my sketch. Click on this guy, and let's just make the rest of them zeros to follow the pattern I was doing before. 0, 0, 0, and double click on this and make him 0. And stop sketch. Okay, there we go. Now hit Q because I want to pull those through, and I will hit Shift and select all of those. And select all of them. There we go. And now I can pull them down, and they'll extract. And so, let's see, how far did I pull them down? Not far. Let me see. Stop the sketch on this old one and see what I did. I extruded them right about there. -3 millimeters. Let me go over here and do... Let me edit that feature. And do -3. And it's a cut. And so hit OK. And there we go. Dun dun dun. Almost there. Only one last little thing to do. The last thing to do is just to do a fillet. Okay, so I want to make those edges nice and round because you don't want some kid poking himself in the eye with a sharp stick, right? So I can you can use the fillet tool, fillet. So hit the S key, and it actually comes up as one of the options. So here it is. There's the fillet. So I can select that, and then I want to select all the. I want to select around the edges here. So I want to select this one, and this one, that one, and that one. You can see how they're all blue now. And then that one. And you can actually select through an object. So I'm selecting that guy down there, and the two edges. And I'll leave the other sides flat like I did. And then you have some different choices here. So if I hit OK right now, well, I have to change the radius. Change the radius to 5 millimeters so it's in the center, right? And so that is what I want. So I can choose that, or I can choose things like that. Yeah, I think there's not much difference. Yeah, so that's actually what I chose. And that gets me that round, but also a little round coming into here, because I don't want a sharp edge on that side either. Well, it might not be too bad. And then hit OK. And there I go. There's my object. So I am done. Yay! So that's how I created this. The next thing I want to do just to show, is to make it into a STL file. So I'll come up here and I'll select Make 3D Print, and then select my object here. And then right now I don't want to send it to a 3D print utility. I know there's a mesh maker, but I haven't yet fiddled with that yet. So maybe in the future I will. But I'll unselect that and hit OK. And I'll just save this to my desktop somewhere. I'll call it Tiles Video Test. Boom, boom, boom. And I'll come down here and open up Prusa Control, and we'll drop it in there and see make sure it looks good. Make sure it's what I did. Okay, tiles. Let me drop that in here. Boom. I guess I'm not doing one quite that big on my Prusa, right? I wonder if it even fit if I rotated it. Oy, that's big. Let me do 45. Yeah, that's not gonna fit on my Prusa. But there it is. So that's how I made my design. I guess I can come here and shrink it, right? Let's do 75%. That'll fit. Ta-da! There you go. That's how I made this manipulative. Hey, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hey, give it a thumbs down. Also, if you like what we were doing here, subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. And lastly, have a piece of info to share? Just post a comment.